Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Friday, January the 30th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to open higher this morning with ASX futures up around 0.3%. Global equities were mostly lower overnight, while gold fell on profit taking, Bitcoin plunged, and oil prices jumped on rising U.S Iran tensions. Wall Street's main indices fell to a one-week low as another wave of AI-related spending announcements by mega-cap tech companies unnerved investors. Leading the losses was Microsoft, its shares slumping after the software giant's cloud revenue prompted fears that its spending on its OpenAI alliance is not translating into monetization fast enough. Apple reported after the bell beating Wall Street estimates for quarterly revenue powered by strong demand for its iPhones and a sharp rebound in China. iPhone revenue up 23% year on year to $85.2 billion, with total quarterly revenue up to close to $144 billion, up 16% from a year earlier. It's also announced it's acquired QAI, an Israeli startup working on AI technology for audio. Meta Platforms made impressive gains after its quarterly results, with investors seeing its AI spending translating into strong growth. Tesla shares slipped into reverse after the EV maker outlined plans for more to double capital expenditures to a record level, while Elon Musk's SpaceX and XAI are reportedly in discussions to merge ahead of an IPO planned for later this year. Among the other losers, Salesforce, Adobe and cloud security firm Datadog. IBM shares jumped after beating estimates for its fourth quarter earnings, while Caterpillar and MasterCard gained after posting higher profit for the quarter. Defence contractor Lockheed Martin rose after forecasting earnings above expectations, and Southwest Airlines shares took off after the airline forecast a stronger than expected annual profit. In Europe, German software companies SAP's cloud revenue forecast failed to meet expectations, its shares tumbling 15%, and sportswear maker Adidas launched a share buyback of up to €1 billion on the back of record sales. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Chinese President Xi Jinping have pledged greater cooperation on trade, investment and technology after meeting in Beijing. The UK Prime Minister is the latest leader to head to China, where he called for a more sophisticated relationship with improved market access, lower tariffs and investment deals. Meanwhile, the US trade deficit widened by the most in nearly 34 years in November as capital goods imports surged, thought to be driven by an AI investment boom, which could prompt economists to trim their economic growth estimates for the fourth quarter. The trade gap increased around 95% to $56.8 billion. And the number of Americans filing jobless claims fell last week, suggesting layoffs remain low, but tepid hiring is stoking concern about job security. The US two-year Treasury yield has eased to 3.54%, the 10-year down to 4.22%. Markets pricing in a 15% chance the Fed funds rate will be cut at the next meeting in March, with a total of around 2 more cuts in the easing cycle. The US dollar remains close to a 4-year low against most major currencies, as uncertainty over US economic policies and geopolitical moves grows. The Australian dollar has drawn additional support from the prospect of a rate hike as soon as next week. It's at 70.5 US cents. Oil prices have surged on a 5-month high on rising concerns that global supplies could be disrupted if the US attacks Iran, which is one of OPEC's largest crude producers. Brent futures up close to 3.5% at $71 a barrel. Gold has fallen as investors took profits after a record high, having almost touched $5,600 an ounce. Spot gold currently trading at around $5,320 an ounce. Copper's jumped 5% amid reports of increased Chinese demand, while iron ore is up almost 2% to 106 US a tonne as China scraps its property sector borrowing limits. And Bitcoin has tumbled to around 84,000 US dollars. On the data docket today, we get December private sector credits, and the producer price index for December quarter is also due for release. And among those companies providing quarterly updates, Atlas Arteria, Champion Iron, Origin Energy and ResMed. That is your day ahead. See you again on Monday.